So last night, perhaps by accident, I came across the funniest story I've seen in 2022 that has to do with this whole GoFundMe situation where they've taken away the funding to the truckers in Canada. And really, again, I just stumbled across this by accident. I want to get into this, get into what it's about. I also want to talk about the Joe Rogan controversy and really cancel culture being a code word for we just want to ban their First Amendment, right? That's what the cancel culture means. We want to ban their free speech, right? But guys, here's the context for this GoFundMe story. It says, what is the background? GoFundMe shut down fundraising efforts for the Freedom Convoy after declaring that demonstrators had violated GoFundMe terms of service, citing rules against promotion of violence and harassment. So now this is the second time I've seen this, this whole idea of, oh, you're inciting violence, inciting harassment as a way to shut something down. We, of course, remember Donald Trump got his Twitter and social media taken away. They've been wanting to do that for about 5 years. They just didn't have a good enough reason. And they said he was inciting violence, even though there was no tweet of Donald Trump saying, go storm the Capitol or anything like that. They wanted him off social media. So they say, oh, they're inciting violence. This is another situation. You got to stop the donations, right? How do you do it? Well, you say they're inciting violence. They're violating our rules. And you can see GoFundMe getting absolutely destroyed with that ratio. 36,000 comments compared to 8,000 likes. Here's another one that's even worse. But last night I was reading about this whole thing. I was trying to get caught up on what happened. And I saw this tweet from some liberal account. Not sure if they're a bot or what, but it says, Justin, the Freedom Truckers in Ottawa who recently had their GoFundMe page seized have now been hit with a $9.8 million lawsuit. Haha. So obviously, a liberal account, very happy that these truckers are being hit with this lawsuit. But I thought to myself, I was like, there's no way. What did these dudes do to get hit with a $10 million lawsuit? Well, this person actually, under their tweet, linked the MSN.com article on what the lawsuit actually is about. So you take a look at it, it says, Canadian Freedom Truckers in Ottawa are hit with $9.8 million lawsuit. After their GoFundMe campaign was seized on Saturday, the organizers of Freedom Convoy in Ottawa are now also facing a lawsuit from a woman living in the country's capital who has left her case open for other residents to join. Ottawa resident, some Chinese lady, filed a $9 million lawsuit in the Ottawa Supreme Court on Friday, seeking damages for emotional and mental distress, citing ongoing headaches, sleeping difficulties, difficulty concentrating, and interference with quiet enjoyment of her home. She's suing the truckers $9.8 million for that, and we can only assume if she's suing the truckers this much that she is of the liberal ideology, and she probably hates all millionaires and all rich people, but she wants to become a millionaire because, the truckers are honking their horns too loud. Just complete hypocrisy. It's so hilarious. And the lawsuit goes on to say that the class members are living in daily torment caused by the truck horns. The lawsuit filed by lawyer Paul Champ categorizes two types of damages. The first worth $4.8 for private nuisance, while the second for punitive damages, of course, that is worth $5 million. So just randomly reading through, I saw some liberal person celebrate this crazy lawsuit, and I thought to myself, what could these dudes have possibly done to get sued for $10 million? Well, apparently, honking your horns creates a $10 million lawsuit, and all these, people who, they hate rich people. Rich people are their worst. They should pay more in taxes. They want $10 million and to become a millionaire because people are honking their horns too loud. Now, the Joe Rogan stuff. There's a big controversy going on with Joe Rogan. They want to cancel him, right? He's racist. He said some things. Now, the first point I want to make about this story is about cancel culture, and I know cancel culture has been beaten to death. Republicans hate it. Liberals want it to continue. Whatever, it's been beaten to death. But I think I have a unique opinion on this. I think cancel culture is basically just an extension to say, we don't want you to have the right to free speech anymore. That's what cancel culture is. Joe Rogan is influencing so many people with his podcast where he talks to other people. You know, a lot of young people listen to Joe Rogan's podcast. So he's got so much more influence than the current news does. It scares the living crap out of the news. And now we're seeing all the mainstream come at Joe Rogan, say he should be canceled. If Joe Rogan, on his podcast, if he was preaching mainstream talking points and telling everyone, go get vaxxed and go get your 50th booster, do you think they'd be coming at him like this, trying to get him canceled? No. This is all political. All right, they want him gone because he's influencing too many people. They're scared of him. You take a look at his listeners, the amount of listeners he averages per podcast compared to CNN or even Fox News, who gets the most. Joe Rogan's is so much higher. A lot young people, young males listening to Joe Rogan. You know, mainstream media, they don't like that. They want Joe Rogan banned. And really, what is cancel culture? Well, it's getting Joe Rogan off the air. It's, you know, hurting his ability to express what he believes in, share his First Amendment life. Cancel culture is just another way to say we don't believe in the First Amendment. We don't want some person, due to something that they said 20 or 30 years ago, because now we're going to say they're racist because what they're saying now doesn't go along with what we believe in. We're going to retroactively go back and say, because you said this 15, 20 years ago, you're banned from talking now and you cannot influence any people. It's all about influence. CNN, Twitter, all these major companies, they want to have the influence over the young population. Joe Rogan's podcast is so much bigger, it's scary. And the only way to combat that is to say, take away his First Amendment right. How do you do that? You look back, you find stuff he said that was racist, whatever. It's just this disturbing trend where instead of wanting to debate Joe Rogan and prove why his points are wrong and why he's anti-science and all that stuff, instead of wanting to do that, you go straight to, no, just don't listen to him. We don't want him to have a platform anymore. That's what they go to. That is a scary thought, especially in America. Debate him. Prove him wrong. If you feel so strongly against him that you want him banned off of different platforms and you've got people taking their music off of Spotify and stuff, if you feel that strong, you should be able to debunk whatever he is spreading or whatever he believes. But again, instead of debunking it, they want him just erased. They want him erased from being able to share his political opinion on the internet. And that is kind of why cancel culture has turned into this extension. It's like, cancel them, get rid of them. You know, ban their free speech. You know, you don't want them to have free speech anymore. It's canceling the First Amendment for someone. That's really what it is for a code word. Of course, you can't say that because if someone said, oh, I don't want them to have their First Amendment right, that would come off really bad. So they say, oh, just cancel them because they've been racist about 10 years ago when they said something. That's what's going on with Joe Rogan. We'll have to see what ends up happening there. But again, just found a funny story about this GoFundMe stuff. It really is sad with GoFundMe. I guess they just listened to the Canadian government, got it shut down, used the excuse that they violate the terms. Really, you can use whatever excuse you want to ban anyone from your own platform or whatever. Just make something up. I mean, it's the same thing that they did with Trump, saying he incited violence in January 6th. They've wanted Trump off of Twitter for, since he announced he was running back in 2015 for his first term. They wanted him off. They wanted his influence off. They found a way to get him off. The January 6th thing was a window for them, and they took advantage of it, and they said he incited violence, but I didn't see any tweet where Donald Trump was telling his supporters to go storm the Capitol. I don't think it should be, grounds for banning his account. Maybe a month suspension or something, but of course they weren't going to do that because they just needed something. They needed an excuse to get him off. Same thing with Joe Rogan. Look back 15, 20 years, find stuff that he said that wasn't good, use that as an excuse to get him off. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you are following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.